I want to move us on to encouraging ourselves, because I think most people would have felt the emotion of discouragement. You know,
Yes.
they feel like giving up, they lose hope, they're no longer confident with themselves. But when we're feeling this way, how do we shift our mindset so that we are confident with ourselves again and we can keep moving forward?
Yeah, man, hasn't this been a discouraging season? Let's be honest about that. And you know, what people have been discouraged about is so varied as well. Like, for some people, business has been better than ever, Louise. Like, they've just moved forward. I know some people in my circle, honestly, they will become multi-millionaires during this season. So they're not discouraged about money, for example, but they are discouraged that they can't catch up with their family. So everyone's got some discouragement going on somewhere, and it's not always to do with business and money, for example. But you know what I've learned about high-achieving people, and I'm on a constant learning curve with this, is you can't wait for people to encourage you. You can't wait for someone to tell you that you're a great person trying to do the best you can. So you've got to learn. Actually, I'll word it this way. You've really got to get your self-talk in check. And you can't underestimate how powerful your self-talk is. You know, for those of us that go to the gym, I mean, I'm trying to really get back to it. It is amazing when I self-talk and just say, you know what, you're going to get 10 reps. You're going to get 10 reps. I've never done 10 reps, but it's a mind thing, and you say it out loud. All of a sudden you're doing it. I mean, that's just something so little, so small. But how's your self-talk going? Because if you have to wait for someone to tell you that you're awesome, you're built for this, you're born for this, you're a great person, you've got great motives, you know, just talk like that. You're not a fraud. You know, I say that to myself. You're not a fraud. You're not a faker. You're the real deal. And you're thinking, oh, that's a pretty proud statement. No, it's not. I'm encouraging myself. I'm just encouraging myself. And you know what? I just can't wait for people to do that for me. So I just think there is a real art to it. You know, affirmations. You've obviously heard about affirmations, just repeating things over and over and over again. I think that's great, but you can become a little bit robotic and it's not emotional enough. I think sometimes just looking yourself in the eye and having some great conversations with yourself, I think is really important. You know, the other thing too is, and I've learned this, I'm a gracious person with other people, but the person that I treat the meanest is me. Like, if someone makes a mistake, I'm so forgiving. And I've never called someone an imbecile because they've made a mistake, yet I'll often call myself an imbecile. And I'm thinking, why would I do that? Why would I treat the person that I love myself, in a good way? Why would I call myself an idiot? Like, I'm using strong words now, right? Why would I call myself an idiot? I would never call someone else an idiot. Why would I call myself an idiot? But we often do that. We would never say something unkind to someone else, but we are so unkind to ourselves. And I just think, don't do that. Be kind, because the kinder you are to yourself, then the kinder you'll be to other people too.
Why are we so unkind to ourselves? What is it?
Because we are solely, we know where the blame lies, right? So we sort of know, I could have done better. I could have, you know, whereas, you know, I don't know for sure whether you could have done better. So I've got grace for you, but because it's me talking to me, I know myself very, very well, and I just know that I could have done better. And so we're just really, really tough on ourselves, because I think we weren't taught either way, to be honest, to actually be kind to ourselves. Yeah. You know, like, you know, our parents maybe said things like, you know, you need to take a good, hard look at yourself, you know, rather than you need to go away and just encourage yourself that you did try your best. You know, no one ever tells us that.
No, they don't.
No. So, you know, I just think, especially for high achievers, comparison is a devil. Yeah. You know, we often just compare ourselves. So we don't even compare ourselves with ourselves. We compare ourselves with someone else. Whereas you just got to learn to say, am I better than what I was last week, last month? Am I a better wife, better husband than I was 2 years ago? Yes, I am. Awesome. Why are you comparing yourself to that girl? She was raised differently. She looks different. She's got a different temperament to you. Why would you compare yourself to her? Like, that is a losing battle all day. But compare yourself to yourself. You know, are you more generous than you were last year? Yes. Mm-hmm. You're winning, girl. Come on. Right? But we don't do that. No, we just compare with others. And so it's a losing battle all day.